in the opposite direction. So already we have 8 cars heading out on track. And the pit lane empties in a hurry. So here's one of our newcomers to the series this weekend, Nikola Petrovic. First car out, the Flana Racing number 74 machine for the Serbian driver. And yesterday's race resulted in a victory for James Wallace, the second of the M-Tech competition cars. And there he is coming towards us down the straight with the bright yellow band on the nose of the car. The car third back is his teammate with the green nose on the car, Krista Andero. And Krista Andero coming out on top in the Masters competition. But it was James Wallace who started on the outside the front row of the grid, who ended up with victory, largely as a result of a very good start that jumped him ahead of pole sitter Taichi Watarai on the opening lap. And he then raced away, built up a 2.5 second lead early on in the race. And Watarai's race pace seemed to be better than the leader. And he managed to close back up on James Wallace into the final 5 laps. And again, attacking for the lead, as it happened earlier on. There was a little bit of contact between the two of them. Watarai spinning out and rejoining to come back across the line for the first time off the podium, a 7th place finish for Taichi Watarai. But James Wallace there, car number 9, the man who claimed victory, his first race back in Porsche Carrera Cup Middle East. You can see even as he started the lap there, still weaving down the straight, building heat. There is Watarai, one of the 2 7x7 cars. And his teammate Banksy in the bright purple machine that we will see shortly. Mark J. Thomas there in the centre of these 3 cars. The other 2, the green and white machines, are the Saudi racing entries. Khaled Al Khalifa there, finished in 3rd place on the podium. Saad Al Saud finishing just behind him under real pressure all the way through from Alexandra Vateva, the Bulgarian driver. And there is Peter Brecker, another of our Masters drivers, coming towards us with a bright pink. That is Banksy, not the well-known graffiti artist, but the Japanese racing driver. Now, when you're looking at the timing bar on the left-hand side, if you see a green bar, that is, there are 3 of them, 1 for each sector of the lap. A green bar is a personal best. A purple bar is better than anybody has done in that sector. Now, if you're the first one out on track and you set a purple sector 1, and 1 or 2 cars behind you, somebody else goes a bit quicker, they will also set a purple sector 1, but that won't be reset until the next lap, so you may see several people with a purple lap. At the moment, James Wallace and Caleb Sumich both with purple laps. Of course, they can't both be the fastest, but they were at the time that timing bar went purple. So James Wallace jumps to the top of the pile, 2 minutes 5.0 ahead of Caleb Sumich, a 2 minutes 5.2, and Krista Andero goes 3rd quickest, 2 minutes 5.9. So these are the first flying laps coming in, and we may well see that the cars are going quicker on a 2nd or maybe even on a 3rd lap. Once the drivers get a feel for the track. There's still a degree of dust coming up off the track on some of the longer shots down the straight. You can see quite a lot of dust coming up. The more you stay on the racing line, the cleaner it will be, because more cars have used that particular bit of tarmac. So if cars go offline down the straight, you'll often see Lots of dust coming up. Banksy coming down towards us with his hazard warning lights on. So he's flicked the switch, either getting in and getting settled or at some stage during his opening lap. Alexander Vateva up to third, Christian Dero still fourth fastest. And Dero with the gold in the Masters class. The two cars with the grey background, Banksy and Sam Shaheen, are in the Pro-Am category. And Sam Shaheen, it would seem, out today in the Team GP Elite car that Cedric Chassang drove yesterday. Or at least Shaheen was not out yesterday and Chassang was, so we'll keep an eye out for that. Taichi Watarai, we'll keep an eye out for him as well, the bright yellow 7x7 car, because he is the man who has started every race so far from pole position. James Wallace, Caleb Sumich both pitting. Saad Al Saud and Khaled Al Ahmadi tow each other down the straight. In fact, it is Al Ahmadi doing the towing. Saud with the white door mirrors and Al Ahmadi with the dark door mirrors as they come towards you. They are in fact the same green as the rest of the car, but they show darker. So Al Ahmadi towing Saud along. As a result, Saud with a quicker lap at the moment. And you would think they might reverse those positions. Well, there's Watarai, still weaving. And Banksy not too far behind him. At the moment, Taichi Watarai, a 2-minute 8.8, his best lap, but a much more competitive, very much more competitive Sector 1 on this lap, 41.4 seconds Sector 1. As the Saudi cars now swap positions, Saad Al Saud will do the towing for Khaled Al Ahmadi. Saud getting his fast lap in the tow with fresh tyres. Freshest tyres. I'll wait to see whether Khaled Al Ahmadi, the second of the two cars now, can use that slipstream, particularly down the long back straight as well as the front straight, the main pit straight. I know he comes in now, so it'll be interesting to see whether or not Saud comes in on the next lap for fresh tyres. Christian Dero to the top of the pile. That's a very good lap. 2 minutes 2.7 from the Masters driver. The Swede in car number 10. Ahead of Saad Al Saud, and Taichi Watarai now goes third quickest. Alexander Vateva improves to go fourth fastest. We got down into sub 2 minute times yesterday. We'll wait and see if we do it again today. And there is Taichi Watarai. But Christian Dero, the Masters driver, with the fastest lap at the moment, and that is most impressive. Now, whether everybody went straight out on the tyres on which they raced yesterday just to get a feel for conditions, and they will now all come in and put fresh tyres on, I'm not entirely sure. It's not going to be the quickest business, and so it was probably a good shout for James Wallace and Caleb Sumich to come in a little earlier. Banksy also in the pit lane, along with Wallace, Al Ahmadi and Sumich. And there are another couple of cars who look like they probably ought to be coming in. Josh Berry, car number 7, for instance. in 9th place. His last lap was not as good as any that he'd done previously. And that would suggest that maybe it is time for the youngster to come in for tyres. Josh Berry, just 16 years of age. Into the pit lane comes Chris Randero. In comes Taichi Watarai as well. So that would seem to be the way that this is going then. Lots of drivers. In fact, there was not Chris Randero coming in. That maybe just caught an odd glimpse. Oh no, there is Randero. He was coming in. A lot of drivers now in, looking for fresher tyres. So this is Max Muchlechner. And Muchlechner from the Südtirol region of Italy. Italian citizen, German sounding name, because in the Südtirol, close to the Austrian border, the Tyrol region of Austria and Italy, defined by a line not in the sand but on a map. However, the German-speaking northern area of Italy very frequently producing lots of winter sports athletes, actually, and a lot of those with German names. Chris Randera in the pits then. Josh Berry has come in. And so pretty much everybody is done. Peter Brecker, here we are, still out. Yellow first sector, which means not as good as his previous best. And his last lap, 2:25.201, his fastest. So he will be heading into the pit lane, I'm pretty sure. Well, maybe not. Comes out and down the straight again. Great opportunity to watch these cars at work when they're out during qualifying. They rarely end up quicker than this. And Peter Brecker does, in the end, head into the pit lane. Now it's a 30-minute session, so we are just about halfway through. It will take probably the thick end of 10 minutes to get the tyres changed, to go out and be ready to go once more. And Peter Brecker in the pit lane. You can see all the other cars nose in. Various doors open. Little bits of work going on. And all sorts of sets of wheels and tyres being changed. Now this is not Formula One, with 22 people leaping on the car and changing the whole lot in 2-point-something seconds. So the guys in the pit lane working hard. And using the pry bars on the right-hand side of your picture, Mark J. Thomas's car. You can see those long bars. Those are just used to make sure that the wheel nuts are fully tightened up. Centre lock wheels, so just a single nut rather than 4 or 5 that you would find on a normal road car, which speeds proceedings up a little. Makes life a little simpler for the suspension designer as well. And Mark J. Thomas would appear to be the first man ready to head back out. So 15 minutes done, and bing, 15 minutes still to go, right at the midway point of qualifying. So Chris Randero, fastest man at the moment. Peter Brecker, the second fastest of the Masters drivers, 5th quickest. And Mark J. Thomas, 10th quickest, the third of the Masters cars. And Nikola Petrovic, 74, 11th fastest. And the difference between Mark Thomas and Nikola Petrovic is 0.8 of a second, 0.804 in fact, if we're going to be exact, which is what timing screens do. So Mark on an out lap, he may well take, I think would be probably very likely to take a second lap at moderate but not absolute maximum pace, just to make sure the tyres are where he needs them to be. And heading out now, James Wallace, first man into the pits, what seems like 10 minutes ago. And James Wallace, well, he only completed 3 laps, so an out lap, a flying lap and an in lap, just so he had something. And then coming in for those tyres. Heading out as well, Max Much-Lechner. So that's some quick work. They've turned him round very fast. The Intercable Racing team doing the job for Max Much-Lechner. These cars supported by Lechner Racing, the organisers of Porsche Carrera Cup Middle East. They've been running Porsche Racing Series here in the Gulf States for a long while now, highly experienced. And now the 2 Saudi cars heading out as well. So too Banksy and Taichi Watarai. Ready to push back Peter Brecker, he's ready to head out once more. So again, Khaled Al Khalifa in front of Saud Al Saud. Banksy and Watarai not working together to tow each other along. Well, there is the team GP Elite car that we were looking for a little while ago. And that is Cedric Chassang heading out. Had not been out previously. And Sam Shaheen, who has done the previous 2 race weekends with Team GP Elite, an Australian, one of 2 brothers, part owners of the Bend Motorsport Park in Australia, not able to be here this weekend. Sam and his brother Yasser, part of the family group that runs the Bend, and both enthusiastic and capable racers. Yasser Shaheen with 2 seasons now in the FIA World Endurance Championship under his belt. And Sam Shaheen also coming out and racing here in Porsche Carrera Cup Middle East. Cedric Chassang with the white, orange and black on his car. So an interesting move from Chassang, doing pretty much what most of the front runners and most of the pro cars did yesterday, which is not go out in the first 15 minutes, just use 1 set of tyres. Now the advantage of that is that you only use 1 set of tyres, but if these guys all went out on the tyres on which they'd raced, and it does seem that they weren't really at front running pace, then they at least have got a feel for the car, got a feel for the balance today if they've made changes, and have worked up to speed, worked themselves up to speed on used tyres. Then when they put the new ones on, that is the only thing that they have to worry about, whereas Chassang will need to get himself up to speed as well. Yellow flags out at turn 14, so somebody has had a little bit of a misjudgment. They've now been withdrawn, so that's good news as you watch Mark J. Thomas. Two minutes 4.2 his lap. Mark Thomas puts him up to third. Fastest man Chris Randero still in the pit lane. And here is the other M-Tech car, and this is James Wallace. Wallace not producing green sectors yet, so building up to speed. Caleb Sumich behind him. There's Alexandra Vateva. And coming towards us is Max Muchlechner. Top was running on him, as you saw. A couple of green sectors and a purple sector 3. Best of all, puts him second fastest with a 2 minute 3.4. Khaled Al Ahmadi, purple first sector. So Al Ahmadi going well. In fact, Al Ahmadi going quicker than teammate Saud Al Saud. So it sounds as though Al Ahmadi is ahead of Al Saud on the road. Purple sector 2 for Al Ahmadi as well. Purple sector 1 for James Wallace. James Wallace quicker than anybody in sector 1. Al Ahmadi on a really good lap. Here's his teammate Saud Al Saud. Saud Al Saud currently in third place. Al Ahmadi is behind him in the slipstream and goes top of the pile, 2 minutes 1.5. Still could be a little bit of time to find. Saud Al Saud did not improve on that lap, 2 minutes 4.9. Max Muchlechner on another quicker lap. James Wallace, purple sector 1, purple sector 2. So James Wallace, car number 9, looks as though he might jump to the top of the pile. Khaled Al Ahmadi is now fastest, 2 minutes 1.573. And James Wallace looks like he might be getting close to the 2 minute mark. James Wallace jumps to the top of the pile, 2 minutes 1.023. So sector 1 has been beaten by Khaled Al Ahmadi and now by Taichi Watarai. So James Wallace's job is not done. This needs to be a better lap from him, particularly in sector 1, because he is under attack. Fastest in sector 1 is the man who's had every pole so far, Taichi Watarai. The bright yellow car, Khaled Al Ahmadi, still circulating at speed and still second quickest. And with a very good sector 1, Al Ahmadi, just a whisker shy of Taichi Watarai. We're talking just a handful of thousandths. Alexander Vateva jumps up to third. Peter Brecker is sixth. Saud Al Saud, a better lap from him, but still down in seventh place. And Taichi Watarai, oh no, beg your pardon, Saud Al Saud now jumps to the top of the timing screen. And Taichi Watarai with the purple sector 1, green sector 2, and he will be coming to the line shortly. Taichi Watarai goes to the top of the pile, 2 minutes 0.3. So Caleb Sumich now with a really good run going. Green sector 1, purple sector 2. Taichi Watarai. Caleb Sumich goes to the top of the pile ahead of Taichi Watarai, but Taichi Watarai is quick again in sector 1. Khaled Al Ahmadi and Saud Al Saud, third and fourth. And Josh Berry losing his previous lap because of track limits. That's a shame. Josh Berry, the 16-year-old, in 8th place at the moment. Cedric Chassang again, the better of the Pro-Am cars. There's Caleb Sumich, man who is currently fastest. But Taichi Watarai, light yellow number 77 car, is quicker inside the final 4.5 minutes. And Watarai has gone slowly, or more slowly, through Sector 2 than he's done before. So has he had the best out of his tyres? James Wallace, closest to the camera, car number 9. Not a better lap for him. Not a better lap for Caleb Sumich either. James Wallace, who started second yesterday, down the field in 5th position at the moment. Looks very much as though Cristian Andero is not coming back out of the pit lane. Not to worry, plenty to keep us entertained. Purple Sector 2 from Caleb Sumich. Now that's interesting, not a good Sector 1, as we see Mark J. Thomas. And Caleb Sumich, 2 minutes 0.3. Taichi Watarai, second fastest, 2 minutes 0.4. And that is because Watarai had his last and indeed fastest lap disallowed for track limits. So Caleb Sumich currently the fastest man, with at the moment 3 minutes to go. The DHL driver has pole. That lap was not better, 2 minutes 0.59 compared to 2 minutes 0.33. That was his previous best lap. Taichi Watarai, also his last really quick lap disallowed. James Wallace still in 5th, and doesn't look like an improvement coming there at the moment. Alexandra Vateva in 6th on what has been her best lap. She's just half a second away from pole position. Here comes James Wallace and Caleb Sumich behind him. There's Alexandra Vateva, Max Muchlechner, 74, Nikola Petrovic, but James Wallace not with a better lap this time. There is a better lap coming from Cedric Chassang, and Banksy has put in a lap to go 7th fastest. Taichi Watarai has pitted, so he's had the best out of his tyres. And just a minute and a half to go. James Wallace losing that lap because of track limits. So he had improved, but it has been nullified using too much of the runoff area. So it looks as though James Wallace is struggling to improve on 5th position. There is Cedric Chassang, fastest man in Pro-Am, or was fastest man in Pro-Am. Banksy has gone quicker than him. So Banksy now up to 7th place, and Cedric Chassang in the Team GP Elite car in 8th position, second of our Pro-Am drivers. So Caleb Sumich pitting as well, Taichi Watarai in the pits, so is Alexander Vateva. Josh Berry, Cristian Andero didn't reappear, Peter Brecker, Nikola Petrovic. Mark J. Thomas still out there, and James Wallace as well. Not a better first sector of the lap for James Wallace as he heads down the back straight to turn 10. Checkered flag is out. Qualifying has finished, so it is these laps and no more. heading downhill into turn 16, just dropping down into the final corner, Cedric Chassang. This is not a better lap. Sector 1 wasn't quicker, Sector 2 isn't quicker, and across the line, Sector 3 isn't quicker either, so no improvement for the French driver. Cedric Chassang will start alongside Banksy. Row 4 of the grid will be all Pro-Am. But it is Caleb Sumich who has pole position for the first time this season. In fact, for the first time this season, somebody other than Taichi Watarai will start on pole position. And it is the young Australian. And final lap invalidated for James Wallace. So he didn't improve and remains in 5th position, yesterday's race winner. So Mark J. Thomas will be the last to take the checkered flag. Cedric Chassang down the back straight. The familiar howl of the flat 6. And it's been a familiar sound in GT racing for many, many years, hasn't it? And as a brand, Porsche's motto might almost be, "We race cars," because right from the very earliest days, that is exactly what they have done. They have gone sports car racing with their product. So correction, car number 9, James Wallace, not Taichi Watarai, having lap invalidated. However, that doesn't seem to have changed the standings materially. And it will be Caleb Sumich and Taichi Watarai on row 1 of the grid, and all Saudi racing row 2 as yesterday. Khaled Al Ahmadi ahead of Saud Al Saud. Then James Wallace will start 5th with Alexandra Vateva alongside. The splendid racing entry. And all Pro-Am row 4, Banksy and Cedric Chassang. 2 more pros on row 5, Max Muxlechner and new boy Josh Berry. And then we get into the Masters. Chris Trandero, that lap set early on, was not beaten by any of his Masters rivals. So Chris Trandero and Peter Brecker will start alongside each other with Nikola Petrovic and Mark J. Thomas on row 7 of the grid. So that is how they will start for the race this afternoon. And that race will begin at 2:30 local, 14:30 local, 10:30 Greenwich Mean Time. So wherever you're watching, you can join us for that. We will be on at 2:15, so 10:15 at Greenwich Mean Time, as the cars are on the grid ready for the build-up of the race. So that is qualifying done and dusted for this morning. And this afternoon, the race will be in, let me see if I can do some subtraction. We'll be on in about 2 hours and 10 minutes from now. So we will see you then from Porsche Carrera Cup Middle East. For the moment in Dubai Autodrome, it is goodbye for now. All of the drivers heading out to try and extract the very best from their cars after yesterday's qualifying and then a chance to race them for 14 laps. Drivers making changes overnight to try and tailor the car as well as possible for the conditions. In the Masters class, Chris Trandero was out very early on and set the fastest time, one that was not to be beaten. He didn't reappear. Those who went out early changed tyres midway through the session and on fresh rubber all started heading for times. In the end, it wasn't Cedric Chassaing, yesterday's pole sitter, but Banksy who ended up on top in the Pro-Am category in the purple car. And the Saudi racing drivers tow each other around. Chassaing could not get close to Banksy. James Wallace, yesterday's pole man, couldn't make it through to the top of the pile with a number of laps disallowed for track limits infringements. He'll need to be tidier in the race if he's to get onto the podium from 5th place on the grid. Caleb Sumich in the DHL car ending up at the top of the pile in the closing stages, the first man this season to take pole away from Taichi Watarai. So that was qualifying, and the race is coming next.